and welcome to Tea and Strumpets, a Regency romance review. I'm Zoe.
And I'm Kelsey.
And if you're in the U.S., then happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving!
We just wanted to pop into your feeds here to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving and maybe keep you company while you're doing the dishes or doing other Thanksgiving chores this weekend or other just like catching up on things because you have a long weekend, chores and errands. Maybe you're shopping, but we're not here to talk about shopping. We're here to talk about things we're thankful for.
Yay! I decided to bring a history fact about Thanksgiving because that's pretty on par with us for our normal episodes, so I'm trying to keep it in the same groove. So today, our history fact is, since 1863, which was when Thanksgiving was declared by Abraham Lincoln to be like, this is a holiday, we're actually going to celebrate it every year. So since 1863, Thanksgiving has been observed annually in the United States. The holiday superseded Evacuation Day, which is a de facto national holiday that had been held every year on November 25th prior to the Civil War, and it commemorated the British withdrawal from the U.S. after the American Revolution.
Huh, I never knew that.
I didn't either, which is why I put it in the show.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Evacuation Day.
So if we weren't celebrating Thanksgiving, which was kind of hit or miss before the Civil War, we would all be celebrating Evacuation Day every year on November 25th, and we wouldn't have to question when our holiday was because it would be on the same day every year.
Well, yeah, gosh, this roving holiday is a bit difficult. And for those of you that don't know, Thanksgiving is, I think, on the 4th Thursday?
It's on the 4th. I read a little bit of a facts about how that was decided because it was a bit different for a while. And then it was like, no, 4th Thursday. So.
And I've lived with this quote unquote knowledge available to me for 32 years here, but I really obviously haven't absorbed it very well. So, but when we think about Thanksgiving in the United States, the first thing that comes to mind is food. So Kelsey, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? And then just to give it a little more flavor, what's your favorite Thanksgiving tradition?
My favorite Thanksgiving food is stuffing, or some people call it dressing.
Yum.
I don't understand the dressing thing. I just call it stuffing. That makes way more sense to me. But yes, that is my favorite food. And as far as traditions are concerned, my family really doesn't have a lot of really stable traditions when it comes to Thanksgiving. So, I mean, for a long time when we were kids, we would make cinnamon rolls and watch the Thanksgiving Day parade, but I don't really care about the parade that much. I just liked the cinnamon rolls. So there you go. Tradition.
I think you should bring that one back, Kelsey. Cinnamon rolls are delicious.
They are.
Oh, man. Okay. So what's my favorite food? So I think my favorite Thanksgiving food is going to be pumpkin pie.
That was a close second.
My family has a pumpkin pie recipe from my grandmother, and it's just great. Everyone who eats it says it's the best pumpkin pie they've ever had. It's not that different, but it just has that little something special from like the standard pumpkin pie recipe. So it's not deviating from a classic, but it is better than anything you could buy in a store. And I'm going to say it, better than most anybody else who I've gone up against with a pumpkin pie. So
nice. Excellent.
I absolutely love it. And I love making it because it's cool. Like it was my grandmother's, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite Thanksgiving tradition would just be that usually growing up, I had a couple Thanksgivings because I had mom's Thanksgiving and dad's Thanksgiving. And with one of my Thanksgivings, I almost always shared that Thanksgiving with my best friend and her family. And we would all just play board games like the whole day. The kids would be there playing board games all day, and the adults would come in and out when they could, and then we would play games in the end. And it just was such a fun day that I think that's why Thanksgiving became my favorite holiday. And I'm really excited because I'm hosting this year and my sister's coming over and she's part of that tradition of playing games. And my nephews are the age now where they can play a lot more fun games, you know?
Yeah.
So like they can really do the games that we also love to play. So it's going to be a really fun day, and I'm just looking forward to it.
That's really exciting. It was only ever Evelyn and I as far as the kids were concerned. Our Thanksgivings have always been very small.
Yeah.
So this year I'm really excited because I'm bringing a bunch of people in because I said I'm not picking between Thanksgivings. I'm having everyone at my house, and everyone gets to come, both sets of parents.
Nice.
And then I invited some friends too as buffers.
Brilliant. Yeah, I commend you for that. That's fantastic. And that's something I'm going to be doing in the future too. But it's really cool that we get to celebrate the same traditions that we grew up with as adults.
Yes.
So today, we really wanted to share with you all why we're thankful for romance. So, shall we get started?
Let's.
So, Kelsey, why are you thankful for romance?
I am thankful for romance because it offers a sometimes much needed escape from reality. I love that I can just pick up a book and be absorbed into a different world altogether where I know it's going to be happily ever after and everything will get wrapped up with a pretty bow, even if sometimes I'm not sure. I know that's where it gets to in the end. And it offers me that escape when things are just hectic in life.
I love that.
I also am thankful for romance because it has brought a lot of lovely women into my life. Women who are not just casual acquaintances, but are really true friends that I can always count in my support group. And it's brought new people in, like people I've met before, we became closer with, we bonded over it. People I'd never met before, this was their catalyst to join our friend group. So that's one of the things I'm most thankful for. And I'm also thankful for romance because my love of romance is now bringing me new opportunities to spread my creative wings. Got the podcast, I'm doing some blog writing. It's just a little bit of a different outlet for me that I kind of had been missing in life. You know, my life had kind of taken on one note.
That is so wonderful and definitely something that I can relate to.
So Zoe, why are you thankful for romance?
So I'm thankful for romance because romance is reliable. Similar to what you said with, always knowing that there's going to be a happily ever after. It's so nice to have something like that that's steady and reliable in your life, especially when things get tough. You can kind of fall back on that as something to ground you, and it's something you can do for yourself to say, I'm stressed out or I'm happy or I'm sad or any of those things. And so I'm going to do this nice thing for myself and I know what it's going to be like. So it's always there when I need consistency, if I need an escape or if I need to calm down or, like I said, celebrate something good. And no matter my mood, romance is there to make it better.
It always is.
Yeah. So I'm also really thankful for romance because I feel like romance helped me on my feminist journey. I feel like there was a time when I was really living in a bubble and I felt like I was a very smart person who, had good opinions on things, but I really just didn't. I had such a limited sphere of reference as to what was going on, even though I was very much a supportive person. I just really didn't have any experience in it. And so romance really helped me open my eyes to a lot of things and a lot of my personal defects. I remember reading a book, and it was the first book that I read where the heroine was not tiny and with big boobs and an hourglass figure, and it was specifically that she had a different figure. And I remember the first time that I read it, I just didn't feel like I could be into it. I didn't feel like I could imagine myself as her. And that wasn't, as good of a book for me. And I look back on that now and I'm so thankful because that experience really changed the way that I looked at myself and also the way that I kind of grew as a person, because all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, why am I so attached to that as a standard of beauty? And I've gone back and I've reread that book multiple times now, and that is one of my favorite books. And I think the character is stunningly gorgeous. And I'm so glad that I was able to get out of my head and realize that that's not how life is. And there's so many different beautifuls, and that I also don't have to hold myself to that standard of beautiful. And now I don't know. I hope I expressed that well enough. I know it's a shortcoming of mine, but I'm so thankful for that one book and that one character. And it really, really changed the way that I look at things. And I feel like it was a catalyst for me in a lot of ways, growing and moving forward as a person. And I'm thankful.
Well, I'm thankful too, because it's good for you. Get out of our heads. Change our mind.
I know. Yeah, the patriarchy. And then my third thing is also I'm thankful that romance brought me this podcast, to get to spend time with you and to do something creative and kind of performance-based. We have to make this exciting to listen to. And I missed that. I used to do theater as a kid and dance and all sorts of creative things. And I just didn't really have that outlet in my life either. And so I've just been having a really, really fun time doing it with you. So I'm so glad we're doing this.
Me too. I'm thankful for you, Zoe.
Oh, Kelsey, I'm thankful for you. You brought me romance. Come on. It's so awesome. So we also had a few followers who answered the same question on Instagram, and I'm only going to share a handful. A lot of you guys did, and I actually made it a highlight on our Instagram. So if you want to see what some other people said, it's there. It was really nice. So thanks everyone for answering. So romance makes me believe that true love exists and I will find it.
Romance brings magic and passion into everyday life. It's so easy to get swept away.
I'm thankful for romance for being unapologetic in placing women at the center of stories and having a happily ever after.
I'm thankful for historical romance because it saved me from a dark time in my life.
And I'm thankful for historical romance because it makes me happy. Aww.
And we aren't the only ones who are thankful for romance. Some of our Frolic family also chimed in, and here they are.
Hi, I'm Elle Penelope from the My Imaginary Friends podcast, and I'm grateful for romance because romance novels are the best stress relievers. When you binge them, or even if you just read one at a time, you get a little slice of happiness. You get to re-experience or to experience for the first time the magic of falling in love, and you get to do it as many times as you want. So I'm so grateful to have found romance and to be able to read and write romance novels, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Hi, this is Jeff.
And I'm Will from the Big Gay Fiction Podcast.
And we are very thankful for romance. For me, reading stories about people finding their happily ever after is the best thing, especially in these difficult times that we live in. It's a beautiful genre, as you can read so many different kinds of stories, from low conflict, super sweet category romance that just make you feel good all over, to more angst-filled stories where you wonder how that couple's going to get the happily ever after you know they have to get. These stories provide an escape, but also a view into the lives of people whose experiences can be vastly different than our own. To me, the world would be such a sadder place without these stories of love and happiness.
I'm thankful for the representation in modern romance. When I was a kid, I never saw myself in movies or on TV or in books. Things are much better now, and while representation alone won't solve the world's problems, at least queer and questioning youth can find characters who look like themselves in movies and on TV and in the pages of romance novels, and know that they are not alone.
Hello everyone, this is Jeffy Kennedy of the First Cup of Coffee podcast. I'm here with my lovely painted cup of green tea, and I'm thankful for romance because of the delight and gladness it brings to my life. I hope it does for you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey Tea and Strumpets, it's Kelly, host of Boobies and Newbies. Every episode of Boobies and Newbies, I get to share just how thankful I am for romance with one of my guests. I can still remember the very first romance novel I read over 10 years ago, and my appreciation for the genre has grown exponentially since then. I'm most thankful for romance because I know going into a romance novel that I am going to have a happily ever after, or at least a happily for now. I'm especially thankful to the romance novel community as well as the podcasting community, both of whom have been so supportive of Boobies and Newbies and other wonderful romance podcasts like Tea and Strumpets. For years, I never considered myself a reader, and it turns out I just hadn't found the right books or the right book family. But now I have. I love sharing my love for love with such an amazing community of friends. as I see it, inside each and every one of us, there's a horny romance reader just waiting to be unleashed. Happy reading, everybody!
Hello, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Marky.
And we are from the Top to Bottom Male Romance podcast.
We're thankful for all romance, and our celebration of gay romance, we're very thankful for the inclusiveness gay romance brings to the genre.
Love is love, and seeing amazing characters find theirs is both heartwarming and inspirational. We just can't get enough of it.
Hi there, I'm Sarah Wendell from Smart Podcast Trashy Books and Smart Bitches Trashy Books. This year, every year, I'm thankful for romance because 15 years ago, I co-founded a blog devoted to the genre that I love that has become a worldwide community of wonderful people and a constant source of inspiration, happiness, and complete hilariousness. Sometimes we're talking about another episode of Cover Snark featuring Dr. Nips, who is the doctor you see on book covers, who never wears a shirt but always has his stethoscope. Sometimes it's a review where we talk about the things we like or don't like about a story, and I always learn something from the community. I am so thankful for the readers and listeners who are as enthusiastic as I am about romance fiction and about happily ever afters. Happy holidays and happy reading.
I just want to say a big thanks to all of our fellow Frolic podcasters for all of those amazing segments that you guys sent to us. It is so great to hear all of the different stories and the different perspectives on how romance touches us all. And if you'd like to hear more about the voices you heard today, we will have links to all of those podcasts in our show notes, so it's really easy for you to find them. And of course, you can find them all at frolic.media/podcasts. And all of these shows have tons of great content to listen to, so you should definitely check them out.
And we'd love to hear more about why you're thankful for romance. If you have a story you'd like to share on the podcast, send it to romancepod@gmail.com. We love hearing from you all.
And seriously, we're so thankful to all of you, our listeners. We have gotten so much amazing feedback from you all, and we're really grateful and humbled by it. So have a happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating, and a happy weekend if you're not.
In fact, may all your ever afters end happily.
Tea and Strumpets is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.